as they are asked. Okay, I would like to move to maybe the last segment for me, which is the oversight. Oversight responsibility. We talked about policy and the different policies written policies that are there, that are not there. So now we move to the oversight element. I would like to understand now with specific reference to prisons, just prisons. What are the key oversight institutions that exist to ensure that prisons are safe, secure, and they are run properly? What are the key oversight institutions that are
the
there?
first thing we have is the Prisons Oversight Board, which is installed every 2 years. And they have access to the prisons. They meet.
Prisons Oversight Board.
They meet regularly. With me, they would do about every 6 months or so, and would just give me an update on how they see the challenges and all that. And they informed of the strategic plan that's designed for the year, depending on the budget allocation for that year.
Would you say they were very active?
Yes, there's some very good people in there, dedicated people. When I say good, very dedicated. Can give you the names later on, but they are very dedicated.
Can you? Wait,
No. It's okay. It's okay.
Can you tell me more about how the members of the Prisons Oversight Body are appointed?
Yeah, they're appointed every 2 years, and I propose the names to the president, and he gives the letter of
He makes the
appointment.
final appointment.
Yes.
Okay.
Will you be in consultation with other people before you make the nomination to the president?
Yes, definitely with the Commissioner of Prisons, with human rights, not human rights. Sorry, not human rights. Commissioner of Prisons mainly.
Now, apart from the
That was something
Prisons Oversight Board, what are the other oversight institutions?
The oversight is our cooperation with UNODC. Gives us a lot of advisory on the prisons, because they compare us with a lot of regional prisons, and we don't have a bad mark, although we have a lot of challenges.
Okay. Does Parliament perform any oversight?
No, I tend to invite, in my quest always to get a little bit extra budget, I invite my colleague ministers, not all of them, definitely the Minister of Finance, to join me sometimes on visits. I lobby around. I lobby with the Minister for lands in terms of infrastructure and all this. So I do a little bit of lobbying like that as a personal thing. But this is...
that is...
yes.
So I'm glad that you have already started talking about the visits that you conduct to the prison, because my next question was going to be, and is, on the specific ways that you yourself, as minister, in the position that you were in as minister, how you would ensure that you oversee the prisons to make sure that they are safe, they are secure, and they are properly run.
Yes. Well, my style has always been sort of go and talk with the officers. I make sure every Christmas I'm there. Christmas visit the prison officers. I make all my rounds then. regular visits. Sometimes on my way in that area, I would just drop in, see the commissioner, see CI Jerry, and basically I took opportunities like that. And just by casually having little chats with the workers there, you get a feel of how they're feeling, the morale, and also this sort of stuff, which is quite important for them. It's a tough job, by the way.
Yeah. So the visits that you do, you said regular visits, are they?
No, not regular, spontaneous.
Or spontaneous
Yeah.
visits. Okay. So when you get there, what are the? I want to hear more of. What are the things you look out for, and who do you talk to?
Yeah, I'm looking mainly for morale on my visits. Specific, the Commissioner of Prisons will bring that to me in terms of the needs, especially when we're doing the budget, what we require, which area we need to spend money on, etc.
I hear you speaking more about how you speak to the commissioner, check on the morale of the people that work there. But the prison population also has the inmates and the remandees. Do you also engage with them during your visits?
Not the remandees. The prison population themselves, I'd bump into them. I've been through the actual dormitories and visited. There's about 14 of them, and it's not a nice place. It's quite it's like a tube, you know. Really, we need new prisons.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get there, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you think during your visits, you think that being intentional to meet with the prisoners and learn about their challenges is something that you do?
No, I don't do that. I will casually do that, but I don't want to be a reason to incite the situation. Okay. It could turn out if I need to be aware of that. But I do meet the staff where they receive the prisoners, for instance, medical staff. I think they opened a dental facility there. So there's a support element, which is again a challenge. Mental health is a serious issue in the prisons, very serious.
How do you get to know about the experience of prisoners inside prison if you don't meet with them to find out directly from them?
Yeah, it wouldn't give me the right answer even if I met with them directly. So it's a question of weighing from the Prison Advisory Board. They will come across, and that is mainly it. To be honest with you.
Okay.
Personally, you don't get to meet the prisoners and to hear out any grievances
No.
that they would have.
No, I don't.
You get that, and if they have grievances, you get it secondhand.
Yes.
Okay.
From the advisory board.
Okay. So how regular do you meet with the Prison Advisory Board?
It's probably about every 6 months or so.
Every 6 months.
We didn't have a set piece, but I'm just loosely saying it was not every month. Put it that way.
Is there so there's no written policy that says the prison board must meet with the minister every 6 months, every 2 months?
At least every year. Every year we have to meet, at least once. But it was working about every 6 months or so.
Okay. And when they, what about reports? Do they submit any reports
Yes,
to you?
yeah, they do.
Okay. How many reports?
I think twice a year they do the reports.
Twice a year.
Yeah.
Okay. And when they submit reports to you, what do you do?
Well, I read through them, and a lot of it is to do with welfare and also probation. They are another department that sort of looks after the welfare, and we've got some good people over there, dedicated people, who's more or less like, some of them act like the mothers to you know, the dedication they have to cajole and help. Obviously, the prisoners have got a lot of social issues, and that department under Mrs. Norris is really dedicated to do that. And I get, by the way, I get reports from her as well.
Get it.
Yeah.
And what can we get those reports?
I'm sure it will be in MIA.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be all you know, the probation office.
Secretary, could you note that as well?
Mm.
How often do you meet with the Commissioner of Prisons?
Quite often, actually. Quite often.
And what sort of issues would she bring to you?
No, I meet with all the different department heads.
Okay.
About every 6 weeks to 2 months. You know, I meet with department heads, and this is where we bring different issues and collaboration and support. A lot of the areas that would be brought to me would be administrative constraints, you know, equipment constraints, these sort of things, which can be a little bit challenging because of budget requirements, but nonetheless, we talk about it. We seek ways how best to.
And during your time as Minister of Internal Affairs, do you recall giving any input, being consulted in any way on any policy that was formulated on something to do with management of prisons?
Mainly the budget side, where we're going to spend money.
Okay. But no policy.
Not really. Not policy, unless there's a project, like I just mentioned earlier, the electronic monitoring project, some of the projects we had with different companies to help rehabilitation programs, this sort of thing. We discussed, and we got project where we got prisoners on QueTV helping, and they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
So these are work areas which we engaged to facilitate. There's prisoners who's in secure employment from this program, you know, and it was great to see that happening. The other areas we discussed I've discussed with the police is about how we can relook at the security profiling of prisoners, so they're not tarnished, so they can't get a job. So all these are areas that we've discussed about the welfare of the prisoners.
Part of the rehabilitation.
Yeah, yes.
Process. Were you satisfied at the end of your 5-year term, or during your 5-year term as minister? Were you satisfied that the prisons had the adequate policies in place to help them manage the prison?
Yes, I was very satisfied, notwithstanding the challenges that was evident. So it's, you know, you can't say normally it would be a contradiction what I'm saying, if you're satisfied, how come you got challenges? But I had to accept the nature of that area. Complicated as hell, different characters, different pressures, or even on the inmates. So you're having a multitude of I'm not a psychologist, but mental pressure on both staff. And there is also the great challenges of integrity of prison officers. This is why we opted to get Tanzanians, we've got Nepalese, we've got Tanzanians and Rwandans, Rwandans, to try and balance out these issues.
Yeah. But were you satisfied with the foreigners, the integrity of the foreigners?
No, I mean, we got a lot of help from SCCS to come and lecture them about integrity, anti-corruption amongst them. But, you know, there's the element of the village community in Seychelles where we know everyone. So there's a lot of pressures happening when people, small country, we invariably, if we look into everyone, we somehow related, you know. So these are the existential issues that will not change today or tomorrow or next year. Yeah. And so you have to factor that in how you manage, you decide. These are realities that needs to be taken into consideration. And
you say that it might not change today or tomorrow, but it has to have a starting point where you start to implement changes and to ensure that the prison operates in a good way.
Yes, and for this reason, this is why I'm very keen on this electronic tagging once we get the law, because that will reduce the numbers by way above 50%. That will include this program of probation orders and rehabilitation work. So all that married together, we need to bring the prisoners back to a Seychellois in society, if you understand what I mean. So these programs will help, but not only that, it will create, in terms of law and order, safety. We have issues, for instance, with domestic violence, you know. So inmates who's been there for domestic violence will be able to be ring-fenced so they don't go and do the same thing again. Nowadays, inmates can get released and there's no control. The threat of why they went in there in the first place remains to, you know, so there's a lot of good things about the electric monitoring, but it will take some time to.
During your term as minister, did you did anyone bring to your attention that there was a serious problem of corruption?
Yes.
In prisons.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, I knew that. We're always trying to catch people out, but like anything, you need certain proofs. We had situations where people were, some of them were corrupt. Some of them being caught were subsequently dismissed. But and corruption starts with small things and probably increases to worse things, you know. So we try to do that, but this is where we brought in SCCS, other people from outside, got UNODC as well, all the instructors to come and do all this sort of integrity help training to our staff.
I'm trying to understand the role of the SCCS within the prison.
Oh, they do a voluntary.
No. For them to educate about integrity. Why would you think they are best qualified to provide that education?
Because they have a module to do that. They have a specific module where people in law enforcement or regulators, tax people, these sort of people, where they are trained how easy or how they can be influenced to be corrupt without even knowing they're being corrupted until they are corrupted. How they get influenced to get that way. So they have a good module, and we open to any other assistance in these terms in education. But it's about education, and even through the University of Seychelles, they did a lot of this sort of training for us. So we had all these outside agencies to help us.
Mr. Fonseca, this is correct. You're talking about the educational side of this. Did the ministry make use of the SIS?
The SIS,
the Seychelles International Intelligence Service.
Yeah.
Did you collaborate with them
very much
in order to provide
reports? They would send us reports from time to time.
But were the reports ever correct? And reports were pursued, and finally there was arrests and.
No, the SIS reports were not targeted reports. They were generalized reports. It wasn't a targeted report where you could do what you're saying, launch an operation to.
But did you have resources that the ministry tapped on in order to provide direct?
Well, to be honest with you, the program there is really to do with data collection. There's so much data from the prisons of movement, of visits, and all that. That in itself is a mountain of information, and this is, I don't know where we are with that now, but this is one area. I know during the time of Mr. Sanders, we had started collecting, setting up to collect all this data together with the CAS system to really get a snapshot of habits and all this sort of stuff of certain people who are criminals.
But what I'm trying to establish, Minister, is if all the data were captured, did the data finally bring results in stopping all of this?
Yes, and that
crimes that was going on inside the prison.
That can be seen if you look now, and I don't have the figures in front of me, but if you speak to DCP Bouze, he managed, he sort of collected all, and he was expanding all this data into intelligence, looking at crime, looking at prisoners, where they, how often they, what time, and all this sort of stuff. When they get into society, how is it being impacting? So there was a lot of work on there. And it's going to get better. It's more data.
Would you be able to tell us that all the information compiled by Mr. Bouze, how many people were really brought to court?
I can't tell you now, but if you ask him, he'll...
Was that more than 10? More than 20?
No, I mean, I will refuse to... I cannot... I really cannot tell you. But he's got some good stats. It'll be very interesting. Very interesting. Please do that. And he will give you the answer as well. He'll analyze and give you give you all the sort of trail to that. But I couldn't do that.
Okay. So I'm still on the policy side of things. We'll get to. I'm sure we'll discuss some of the cases later on. Did you, during your time as minister, so you said you received the reports on corruption and so forth, but did you also, as minister, receive any intelligence or any other kinds of reports that indicated the possibility of disturbances or riotous behavior in the prisons in Seychelles?
From time to time, yes.
Would you recall when another time that you received such a report?
I can't remember exactly, but the last report on that was for a possible incident in December 2024.
Okay.
And
so
and I
specifically,
think we got the report in September, October.
So I'm not asking about reports that indicate that a riot has happened. I'm talking about intelligence report. In other words, reports that inform you that we have a high possibility of a riot occurring. And it has not yet occurred, but...
Yeah, not riot. I remember breakout.
Breakouts?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you...
I said a couple of months or so before Christmas.
Before December 2024.
Yeah, so you're talking about October.
So if a security officer or an officer working with a security agency comes here and says, in fact, let me not say if, we've had more than one, I think 2 or 3, who have indicated that they picked up intel which indicated that the tensions are rising in some of the prisons, and there's a possibility of some disturbances that could happen. And they shared these reports, this information with various agencies, including your ministry. Would that be false?
What do you mean? Sorry.
No, because you are saying you have not received...
not received what?
Intelligence report indicating that there's a high possibility of...
I said I received reports a couple of months before Christmas about the breakout.
Okay.
Not whatever.
And there were a few prisoners escaping during that period as well, no? Before Christmas. Was it the case? Or after Christmas?
I can remember. 24 break-ins. Oh, yes, yeah. But I can remember which date it was. There's a couple of...
Okay. So, what... And here I'm specifically interested in policy interventions. What sort of interventions from a policy point of view as minister? Because I'm not expecting you as minister to be operational. But from a policy point of view, what did you do?
It's not, I don't have policies. I have initiative.
Okay, yeah.
Okay? There's no policy that tells me to do what. I mean, so my initiative is I normally bring in definitely Compol and CDF together. And, well, I'll tell you, one of my biggest worries, if you wish, was a breakout in the prison. Has always been a worry, and the reason for that is the Montagne POSÉE is on a ridge. To the east is numerous habitation of OCAP, and to the west there's a whole range of hotels, Maya, Baba, Ophelia, Canopy, and all this sort of stuff. And the scenario of prison breakout going to the West Coast in a hotel and that escalating in other things could just really put our tourism industry at zero. So it was always a worry, and this is why I always discussed with Compol and CDF to get together and prepare themselves for such an event, and always to be ready for that.
So the reason why I'm asking you, I appreciate your answer that you wouldn't be concerned about just policy or even policy. You take initiatives. You know, you present yourself as someone who is practical, taking, getting to meet with the Compo and the CDF to. I appreciate that. But the reason why I'm asking you these questions is because the stakeholders who manage or who managed prisons, and some of them they are still there, have indicated that they did not have some of the basic policy documents to guide them on dealing with some of these issues. And I will give you an example. Hold on a bit. So one is to do with security, prison security. So one of the senior prison guards says we don't have an SOP, they call it standard operating procedure, which is a manual on how to maintain security in the prison. Of course, the former commissioner of prisons came and disputed that and said, no, there is a written SOP. The commission is still looking for a copy of that SOP, and we haven't been able to lay our hands on it. So until we find it, we are not satisfied that there was an SOP or a manual regulating how security at Montagne POSÉE prison is managed. But even when you take the account from the former commissioner of prisons, she says when she was appointed, she had to start, she says amending, but I think what she meant is updating, so that the manual could speak to present day realities, because it was archaic. So that's one glaring area, right? Then let me put the other one, then you can respond at once. The other glaring gap is to do with dealing with riot or prison breaks, that in the event that there is a riot, in the event that there is some kind of disturbances, including prison break, we asked if there was a standard operating procedure on how to deal with that, how to intervene and deal with that. And the answer we got is no. There is no standard operating procedure on that. So I'm just wondering, number one, if you were aware of that, and if you were aware of that, how you could then say you were satisfied with the policy framework in place.
Okay, when they said they didn't have any procedures, were they trying to tell you they didn't have lockdown procedures?
Written
lockdown procedures?
So we're talking about security. And,
Yes,
Okay.
lockdown. You're telling me if there was an escape or whatever, riot and all that, lockdown procedures, you think they didn't have that? Is that what they're telling you? Because the lockdown procedure is what they should be doing.
What would lockdown procedures
Lock
entail?
everything up.
Okay. What
Yeah.
else would that entail? If there's anything.
Well,
else?
I mean, I'm not on the side, but they would, their lockdown would tell them exactly who's to go where, who's to lock what down,
Okay. So-
and where to report to. They
Yeah,
must have,
I
they must have a lockdown
I respect
procedure.
that, Minister, but I think I want us to avoid dismissing the concerns, right?
No,
I don't think lockdown procedure itself, on its own, would be sufficient to deal with the multi-layer.
No, but it's a
security
start. It's a
challenges.
start, and the escalation will take from there. They need to do that part well. That is their job. And if they're telling you they didn't have such a procedure,
No, I think you are changing the what they said, right?
I don't know what they said.
No. We are talking about a complete. My point is,
Yeah.
a lockdown procedure
Mhm.
is just one element of an SOP on how to deal with a riot. You need guidelines on things like weapons, how to use weapons, who is going, protocol on.
And every
reinforcement.
department would have their lockdown procedure, wherever they were at. Maybe.
Minister,
Yeah?
I
Yeah?
totally understand what you are saying,
Uh-huh.
but in the case of this particular
Uh-huh.
incident that took place on the 5th and 6th of, unfortunately, it was not the prison management that did the lockdown procedure. It was the inmates themselves that locked themselves in.
Oh, well. Did they have a procedure?
I don't know, but they locked themselves
Okay,
in.
sorry. I think let's come back. I don't want us to discuss the 5 and 6s
Yeah.
yet. We are going to get
No, the
there.
lockdown is important, though.
Right.
Very important. That's the start of everything.
But were you aware that they did not have a manual on security protocol, a manual on how to deal with riots? Were you aware of that?
Well, in terms of lockdown, it's a practical thing that should be taken round and shown what to do. This is
So,
very much practical.
Am I correct, former minister, that you yourself don't believe that those manuals are important?
Well, they're important in a sense, but what you want your guards to do is to react in these situations, not to go and look at the manual.
I'll tell you where I'm worried about.
And the trainer
Yeah.
needs probably to look
Yeah.
at the manual when they're training them.
Yeah, I'm right. I think you have already preempted part of my worry.
Oh, okay.
Because part of my worry is this. You have guards that you employ in prison to manage to guard the prison, and you need to continuously build their capacity, right? You recruit others continuously. So you don't have written guidelines on how to deal with specific emergent situations. You don't have written guidelines on how to manage the security of the prison. So it might mean you don't have a way of making sure that every person who comes into this system has a single document that is their primary reference point in terms of doing their job. That's number one. But number two, you have a crisis. You yourself admitted that there were reports of corruption, or reports indicating that corruption was serious. And your solution is, let's take action, right? And we agree with you. And I think they do agree with you that action is supposed to be taken. But you need guidance on how the action is to be taken.
Well, I'm sure they have guidance in terms of their searches, in terms of receiving visitors, all these sort of protocols. Are they telling you they don't have that?
I think
Even their training, you're talking about armory, securing the armory, there must be some. It was not my job to go and check that, but I would think these would be there. If anyone
It-
tells you
it's
they didn't,
certainly-
it could be at a level where they were being taught practically what to do, but not being shown
Yeah, I think it
the
is.
layout. Probably
you,
this is.
Yeah,
this
you
is-
said it is not your job to go there and check, but maybe we can declare our
Yeah,
disagreement
yeah,
on that. I think it was your duty to check, because part of what you described as your job description is oversight. Right. So if you are receiving reports of these challenges, right, of corruption, challenges with possible prison breakouts, which you said worried you a lot, and I agree with you why it would worry you, then I'm thinking that as a minister, you would think also from a policy point of view and say, do my prisons have clear procedure manuals, clear protocols on dealing with some of these challenges? So it was your duty to, as an oversight function.
Oversight to a point, but there are areas where this is technical areas where if these areas are best left to the technical level, and you would be bringing in inefficiency to use a minister to do an oversight on a SOP of how to do a lockdown. Because if I were to do that, I should be doing something else in terms of the other responsibilities within the ministry. If you understand what I mean?
I do understand.
You know, there are
surprised.
limits where if you over micromanage, it's resulting in inefficiency. And you've got to make sure that you don't do that. It's got to be done, and this is why you have your sort of technical teams at this sort of level.
But unfortunately,
Yeah.
the only problem is that the tactical teams that you are talking about did not have a clear written guidelines on how to. But maybe just a moment. Can we transition to the regulations? Were you aware that there are no prisons regulations in this country?
There's an old regulation, very old one,
2001.
2001.
2001.
Is your understanding that, okay, let me just show you so that we are talking about the same document.
There is some very old,
this one.
old laws in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are saying it contains old laws.
There is a lot of old stuff in there.
Yeah, but it's not, it doesn't contain laws.
Regulations, which is subsidiary to the laws, isn't it?
Yeah, but
It is,
but
there's one issue. I will explain it to you.
Yeah.
but the issue is those regulations were not passed by government, or what you are calling regulations were not passed by government. It's just a document that was drafted at some point.
1960 something?
No, 2001.
2001?
Yeah, that was drafted at some point in 2001 by those who were managing the prisons, and was never passed by government into regulations. Were you aware of that?
Not that it wasn't passed.
Was it passed?
No, I say I'm not aware that
Okay,
it was not
you're
passed.
not aware that it was
Yeah,
not
yeah.
passed.
Was it ever brought to your attention by the Commissioner of Prison?
No,
that one minute that you have these regulations and they've not been.
All the regulations are drafted and goes through the AG's office. So, if it got sort of stuck somewhere along the process before the SI goes to National Assembly, it must have been at that area.
How familiar are you, former minister, with or during your term as minister, how familiar were you with the Prisons Act?
Well, I have the Prisons Act. I have all the different act of the whole portfolio. And I would make reference, it's not something where I would learn by heart.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I would pull it out when I needed it.
When you need it.
And any doubts, legal doubts, will get the AG to advise us.
To advise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking that question because of what you have just said. You have said the regulations go to the AG and the AG will sort it out. But who is supposed to send them to the AG?
That would be the accounting officer, the PS.
The PS.
Mm.
The PS of which ministry now?
Of Internal Affairs.
Internal Affairs. Now the PS, can the PS just wake up one day and send a draft of regulations to the Attorney General's office?
No, it would have been discussed before.
With who?
With whatever the regulation meant was intended for. Certain researches would have been done. A technical team would have been formed, and there would be a member of the AG's office, on a legal person, on that technical team. They would search similar.
Ma'am,
Similar.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I think where perhaps you need to be made aware is that according to the Prisons Act, it is your responsibility as minister to make regulations. Right. So what it means is, hold on. What it means is, first, this is your duty. It's not the PS duty. It's your duty. I can read for you if you want.
No, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's your duty, right? What you are describing are the mechanics, right, which no one disputes you. But those mechanics cannot start
Okay, can I
unless
explain?
you have taken the initiative.
Can I explain you that part in every act?
Yeah.
I was working with this cyber act which we wanted to take to the AGs. And this is one part we put in there because we know in future there will be SIs where you come up with something you need to operate because new equipment, new whatever. So the minister responsible for any regulations is a standard that's put there because the minister will have to take that to cabinet, not cabinet, to the National Assembly finally. But before we get to there, it goes to the technical team would be formed. They would research all the necessary
let me ask a question.
It's not the minister that does that part of it. You get people to do it, get the legal people to do it, come to you. You need to slowly understand it, happy, everything, then take it to the National Assembly. It's debated.
I agree with parts of what you are saying. I don't want us to go into lawmaking.
Yes.
There's a specific question I'm asking, which I am afraid you are not engaging with. So you need to tell us whether it's a yes or no, and then you can explain. Is it your responsibility as minister to initiate the process of promulgating prisons regulations?
The idea of any new requirements can originate from the commissioner, from the people on the ground. They bring that to the minister, and at this point we decide. And then it's my responsibility to say, yes, this makes sense, let's go ahead, let's get the legal people to analyze. But so the initiative can be born, and I hope it is, from people where they're working. It must come from there.
So it is your responsibility
finally
to make regulations.
Finally, but not to be initiated. I could initiate it, but it
the
could
CP
also be.
Can initiate it.
Pardon?
The CP can, Commissioner of Prisons can initiate it, but it is your responsibility to make those regulations. Let me read what the law says so that
we understand that.
Yeah, the minister may make regulations for carrying into effect the purposes and provisions of this act, then it says a whole lot of things,
Yes.
right? So it's not the PS,
No, it's not.
and it's
But-
not the CP.
Okay,
It's
let me,
you.
let me give you an example. Say you had a couple of new scanners, new whatever, that you want to implement over there. It's got radioactive and all this sort of stuff. You will probably need a regulation for it. That would come to me at that point, and then we'll work on it.
Right. So
But finally,
uh,
the Act gives the minister the authority to go ahead with that.
right. So now you have the authority,
Yeah.
but despite that authority being there, you thought that you have regulations in prison when you don't have. So that's an oversight.
Well, I don't know. Are you telling me they don't have?
You do not have regulations, Minister. These,
You talking about regulation or SOPs?
no. I'm talking about regulations, prisons regulations. The ones that you said are regulations that were drafted in 2001, which I showed you, were not promulgated by government. They were drafted by whoever was in prison at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and were never processed through the channel that you are explaining to me. So they are just a document. They are not law. They are not regulations, despite their misleading title. And my issue with that is, as a minister at that time, this is something you should have noticed. You should have checked and noticed that we have a problem there. That's my point. So it's not the PS. Of course, the bureaucrats in your office
Yeah.
would have to advise you on some of these things. But the role or the duty to account in terms of Section 46 of the Prisons Act falls on you.
So that makes that regulation null and void
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
because
You
it
mean
didn't,
this-
didn't go through the
The
ages.
2001.
There.
Sorry, you're saying?
Let him finish. I want you to finish first.
Hmm?
You were going to answer to this question?
No. This is
Okay.
2001.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But were you ever informed by the CP of the prison that they have these regulations that needed to be worked on, and at least to keep you informed about it? The
I
CP
can't recall.
Okay. Did she ever tell you that she was engaging with the AGC, especially she named Mr. Tatchett?
That would
Mr.
have been the former CP.
No, the former CP, not the present CP. I was
No,
talking
no,
about-
the former.
Oh, because what we got is that she said she was engaging with Mr. Tatchett from the AGC.
She probably was after
she
when she came in. But in 2001, it would have been the other CP.
No, he's talking about this. The issue that he's talking about is former Commissioner of Prisons, Mrs. Janet George.
Yes, I am
said-
referring to the other one based on the.
Yeah, said,
based on the.
but this is maybe this is so that you get his question. You're saying former Commissioner of Prisons, Mrs. Janet George, came here and told us that she became aware
Mhm.
that these so-called regulations are not regulations because they were never passed by anyone. So she sent them to the AG's office to initiate a process of
Okay.
getting them passed. So his question is, were you aware of that?
No, but well done to her for doing that.
I'm shocked, Minister, that you are saying well done.
Yeah,
to her
because
for doing that.
going to the AGs, the process is not completed yet. Because then it would have to come back to me before we take it to the National Assembly. And I would have got a finished document then.
I think
At some point
You
she-
understand what I mean?
At some point, I do understand what you mean, but at some point, there was a need for her to inform you that this is engagement with the AGC regarding the regulations was taking place.
She probably did, but I can't remember. But even if she didn't and got it done to bring it on a plate to me, I'd be very happy with that. I love when my line officers come up with innovation, come up with ideas and all that. As long as they finally bring it to me, I'll have a look and let's.
But the difficulty that I have, I had with her yesterday, is that actually she couldn't provide us with anything to show that this actually was done.
But she said she started doing it.
She said she started it, but
Okay.
like she didn't mention whether there were going to be changes, there were going to be amendments to the regulations. Actually, what she said was that these regulations were very good. And so I don't understand why you say these regulations were very good and engage with the AGC rather than just go to the minister and
No,
say,
yeah, finally it'd come to me. It would come to me.
Unfortunately,
But
Minister, it never came to you.
Yeah.
That's why today I asked you a question, and then you said we have regulations, we have good laws inside the, which means you didn't know also that these are not laws, right? So,
Were they supported by the law?
if you were appearing before us and you were telling us that the Commissioner of Prisons consulted other people, including the AG's office, and eventually came to you and informed you that, Minister, we don't have prison regulations. Right? I think we would accept what you are saying, that she did a good job. But if you didn't know, and you only got to know today, when we are asking you this question, how would you say she did a good job?
I said she'd use her initiative
And never informed you.
by taking to the AG. It would finally come back to me. The route is always back to me.
So why didn't it come? Why didn't it come to you?
Probably she
5
wanted
years?
she wanted a finished product.
And then what happened?
Pardon?
And then what happened?
It would have to go to AG anyway at some point. I would not. The first thing I would ask her, has the AG seen it? And now she brings to me the AG has seen it. That's good news.
So you have absolutely no problems with appearing before a commission and say to the commission, we have prisons regulations, and the commission says to you, no, you don't have, and then you discover that you don't have in that moment. That doesn't affect you at all.
Well, now that you've explained to me how the process that was happening, because it was detected that it needed to go through the assembly. It was detected that it needed to, the AG needed to see it. So this sort of verification was happening.
Okay. You are happy?
I'm happy with that.
Okay. Did you have, I think you have follow-up questions that you want to ask? You don't have. Okay, I think I will pause here for now.
does he have questions?
He says-
Does he want to start?
I think you need to take him to 5 and 6.
Okay,
Yeah,
through 5 and 6.
yeah.
Okay, Minister, ex-Minister, sorry. Anyway, we had an incident that happened at the prison on the 5th and the 6th of December 2024. And yeah, just answer because we have a proceedings for us to record. I know you have vocalized your reply.
My what?
Your reply, because you just shook your head, and I want you to.
What he's saying is try to vocalize.
Oh, right,
your
okay,
responses.
okay.
Because otherwise we don't get you on
All
the
right,
record.
okay, got you, yeah.
Yeah. And I believe that during that time you were not in Seychelles.
That's right.
Okay. And you only got back to the Seychelles on the 7th, is that correct?
Yes, I believe on the 7th I got back.
You got back. And after you got back to the Seychelles on the 7th, You proceeded straight to the prison, is that correct?
Yes, yes, from the airport.
Okay. And when were you informed, and by whom were you informed that of that incident?
Informed and getting to. I've got some notes here. Can I just refer
Yeah,
to
sure.
To my notes? Okay. On the 5th.
You were informed on the 5th? By whom?
On the 5th, I got a message from my office.
Okay.
Not from...
Not from the prison?
No.
Okay.
From my office.
And when you got that message from your office, did you contact the CP?
I can give you the sequence of my...
Oh, sure.
Yeah?
Sure.
Then that will be answered.
Yeah.
So on the 5th at 1908, I got a message on WhatsApp from my executive director, and she says, not sure what's going on, but I think you should know about in case no one has informed you. And gossip corner.
So she expected that it is possible that no one
Yes.
would inform you, no one
In case no one has informed me. And straight away, I saw that 10 minutes later, because I see 10 minutes later, I just sent a message when I got it, which was, this is when I saw it, saw the footage, please send me a brief sitrep.
Okay.
This is what I sent to her.
And you said you saw the footage. Which footage are you talking about?
The footage of the disturbance at the prison.
And how did you access that footage?
It was on social media, Gossip Corner.
Okay.
Then 4 minutes later, 6 minutes later, cannot reach any one minister. Maybe they're all at MONTAGNE POSÉE. Apparently there will be something on the news. And at 1 minute later, I turned around and said, I cannot get a report from the news. Phone, Compol, Sipi, Wits, Songwa, CDF, you name it. I put the whole list of names that they had to reach. At 1 minute...
the reason why you named those names was
them.
because you... Why? Why? Okay, tell me why.
Yeah, I expected them to be supporting. If there's something like that, they would be in the know.
Okay.
Or they would have been called. And I tried, and little message here. He was saying that nothing is good. Granite.
Pardon?
Granite means nothing. Nothing.
Nothing means granite. Granite means nothing.
Trying to get rich Compol. And at 1935, I get a message. Got Compol, but suggested that more info could come from Sipi. And we'll try a more detailed report. And straight away, I thought, I better get back here. And I said, please start looking for flights.
Okay. So you were not scheduled back in the Seychelles on the 7th?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
That was a Friday, by the way, no?
The 5th was
yeah.
Thursday.
Thursday, yeah, Thursday. And I said, try and get me the flights back. And I said, they're checking for flights. Nothing really available, and it's really tight to get on the flight the following day, which was about 4:50. We'll keep you updated with what is going on, although I am yet to hear from CP. And then we're talking about flights for me to get on. And at 2040, I get a message that they've managed to speak to CP, all under control, and that I do not need to come back early. Nonetheless, I think there was a lull in the situation at that time, which was about 2040. And early in the morning,
That is the 6th.
yes, I get a message, fire in the mattresses, not under control, rain fog, ambulance, SFR reinforcements, no prison interviews, things
So,
not get.
so
things not
initially you got a message that everything is under control.
get, yes,
Okay.
right,
And later on,
at 5 o'clock in the morning,
sometime later,
yeah,
you got a message that says things
not.
are not under control.
No. And looking,
When you receive the message that things are under control, what did you? How did you interpret that?
how did I?
How did you interpret that?
Under control means they've managed to stabilize the situation, but not resolved it. Under control means it is still ongoing, but we've managed to stabilize it. And at that point, we were looking for flights, and I got the flight the following day and arrived in Seychelles in the morning, at lunch, just before lunch.
Okay. So you went to the prison. I'm sure you had a meeting with the CP. She was on?
She was at the prisons.
At the prison.
I drove straight there.
Yeah. Who else were at the prison?
These 2IC, Irani,
Okay. So
Chief Inspector Irani.
you had a meeting with the CP and discussing what happened. And
I'm getting a brief, not discussing.
Okay.
Just
Getting
getting
a brief.
A quick brief.
Okay. And I'm sure she would have told you that she had a situation that got out of control and that an operation that ended very badly.
Very badly, yes.
Yeah. And did you inquire as to what how the operation was undertaken and by whom, and why did it got to that extent where it was very badly?
Yeah, at that time it was a brief rundown, and I was also concerned. Well, first of all, losing a life losing 2 lives in
Two
the
lives.
end. Yeah, but at that time, it is a serious matter. And then I said, look here, what about the officers as well? He said, I've got some officers in hospital. I said, let's go and see them as well.
You mean officers from the prison that were
Well,
injured?
officers who were involved,
Involved or injured?
they were injured,
She told you some officers?
yes, at the hospital.
And you
So-
went to the hospital?
Yes.
And
When I got to the hospital, they had been released. And I also, at the time, said, look here, let me go and see the inmates as well. There were some inmates in there.
and one thing, I have an issue with the CP telling you some officers, when all the evidence we've managed to gather in this commission, and people sitting on the same seat that you are sitting on, they talk of 2 officers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not some officers. I would say that
Well-
some officers will imply more than 2.
At the time, there were some officers over there. I
Yeah.
don't think she knew the numbers.
She must have known.
Well, she might have known, but
She's running the prison. They even had
I'm
call
just saying
roll,
the
a
impression
call-
I had some officers over there.
a call. They
So
had a
this is
call
where
roll.
I decided to go and do a visit. But when I got there, they're gone. They had been dismissed. so I didn't see the officers. And at that point, I said, okay, I'm here, let's go and see the inmates, the injured inmates. The nurse told me probably the medical staff there advised me not to. Yes.
Okay. And the CP, did she inform you who were involved in the operation?
Not to the detail, very briefly, that she had the police helping, and all that was all the. To be honest with you, I can't remember exactly what she had said, because a lot of the information with me now is what I know, I've learned since. So I can't differentiate what was said then, and I'm going to mix the story, because
did she mention to you as to why she initially had to call for police assistance?
Yes.
And what did she say?
The whole place was on fire.
That's what she told you initially, what she had to do? That's what she had to do because the whole place was on fire?
Well, I don't know what time she called police assistance. Looking at the way the situation happened, at what point, because, as I said, there was a point when things seemed to be under control. So
exactly, yes.
She must have been talking after that, but she didn't specify exactly.
Because the CP, she came here yesterday and she gave the impression that she had called the officers, the police officers, to be present at the prison because of the riot. That's what she said. But what I feel she omitted to say, which something that all the other witnesses had said, was that the initial call was to get 4 officers who were being detained inside the prison.
To extract.
Pardon?
To extract the officers.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she insisted yesterday that was not the case, that it was because of the riot. But even the officers who were involved, who were part of this, of those being detained, said that the initial thing was to come and get out the officers who were detained. Yeah. And she also mentioned to you that the military was implicated. Did she?
I can't remember, but she must have. I can't remember exactly what she said on that time, but she must have given me a brief.
You wanted to say?
Sorry, maybe just to point out that you were Minister of Internal Affairs, and when you spoke initially during this testimony, and I think correctly so, you gave the impression that your primary duty was to keep the country safe. To keep the country safe and secure. Right?
Definitely.
And then later on you went on to tell us about how personally you were worried about prison security and the possibility that there can be outbreaks and so forth. So clearly this issue that he is asking you about is an issue that you are saying you were concerned about, first as a person, but secondly as the minister. So I'm just struggling to reconcile the image you created earlier on about how serious you were about this portfolio, to reconcile that with your response now that you cannot remember, the basic information that was briefed to you by the Commissioner of Prisons who reports to you. So there is an expectation, there would have been an expectation that if you were serious and if this portfolio was a key portfolio for you in government, then the meeting you had or the briefing you had from the CP must have been a serious meeting, which you can't come here and say, I can't remember that, I can't remember that.
I can't remember the exact words, but I know the story.
Yeah, perhaps we don't want the exact words,
Yeah.
but we want what she told you.
What
So I'm
she
just
told-
worried that
okay.
there are 2-3 questions he has asked you, and the answer is, I can't remember that, I can't remember that. So if you maybe...
If you want a narrative, that's a different story. But what you're asking is specific things like that. The narrative is fine.
But that narrative would naturally include the things he's asking you.
Well, I mean,
Well, I just
But-
wanted
but
I just wanted to point
no,
out.
if you're
that
asking
so
me
that you
specific,
can-
what did she say here, then I wouldn't remember that. The narrative, yes.
Okay.
Because this is what you hear the narrative.
Okay.
Okay. Let's say you have a situation where some people are, okay, it happened within the prison. The inmates have taken, let's say, hostages. Some prison guards, okay? They have demands, and what would you expect your CP to do? Like, the inmates say, I have these four of your men inside. We have certain demands. What would you expect your CP to do at that point?
After doing the lockdown,
She has not done the lockdown by then. Anyway, there was no lockdown. As Mr. Tiro mentioned, it was the inmates who locked themselves down. Yeah. The prisoners were there, the gates were closed, and they say, we have 4 of your men, and we want to engage with you regarding certain demands that we have. What would you have expected your CP to do at that point?
to listen to the demands.
Before she listens to the demand, you would have expected her to go to the prison and listen to the demands.
Well, first of all, you've got to establish some sort of communications method
Yeah,
to the people inside.
yeah. And you know the prison, the engagement would be through the bars.
Yes.
Okay, so
Mhm.
we can see one another within the prison, and the prisoners are specifically for you. Okay, come and talk to us. What would you have expected her to do?
Well, you would have to organize some sort of means to communicate with them. And ideally, the means needs not to be verbal where everyone can hear, but to communicate with them inside. So I don't know if they had the certain facilities to do that, because it would be important to identify who wanted to make that request, or who made that request, and try and establish the motivation behind everything.
Okay.
So the connectivity, establishing some sort of communication system to them,
Okay.
whereby you could engage with them. It would be quite important.
Okay.
Very important.
Okay. Let's say even if you've talked about some form of communication, connection with the inmates, even if it is not physical, in the prison where they were, there is a phone. Okay.
Good. If there's a phone,
There is a phone, and the CP in her office, she would have a phone. Okay. What would you expect her at that point to do?
I would get her to get a middle person of experience if they didn't have a good trained person to establish that communications, and not to speak directly herself.
You would not encourage her to speak
Not
directly?
directly, because she's in a position where she can make command decisions. And she needs a little bit of time to assess what the request is. And she should not directly talk to them. She should have an experienced person, ideally a negotiator who's got some training, but that would be difficult. So that you could now evaluate and try and seek the motivation for this incident, try and coerce them into changing the act they're doing, try and identify weaknesses within the groups. In any situation like that, there'll be people who's convinced with this, people who's half convinced. So you would sort of use that moment to try and get as much intel as possible, because you will need to know as much before you make any response.
Yeah. I didn't mean to disrupt this exchange that's going on, but I just wanted to say right there, former minister, you have demonstrated the point that you and I were engaging on, including with Commissioner Vidot, on the fact that you need a manual on dealing with a riot. And the manual goes beyond just lockdown procedures. Because right in that moment when you said you would expect the CP to appoint a hostage negotiator because you wouldn't want her to negotiate directly, you are confirming the earlier point, which unfortunately you denied, that you simply need a procedure manual to deal with a riot to be in place. And just having lockdown procedures is not enough. I just wanted to
the only
point
thing
that,
is that's an initial part she could play, but she wouldn't have the experience to deal on the long term with this incident. That would have.
But do we agree now that you need a manual?
You might, yes.
Okay.
Just to establish that, but she shouldn't take that responsibility totally. That is an initial thing you might do, and for that you don't need much training. You just need briefing to understand how to start to set the scene for people who would come and take over that part.
Supposing you have a group of prison guards, okay? And in that case, they were all female prison guards. Going to the CP and saying, we can go down, we'll talk to the inmates, and we'll try to diffuse the situation. What would you as a CP, having had some people volunteering to say, okay, we want to, like you said before, it should not be the CP. Now you have some guards who are saying, we'll go in and talk to them.
Only if they were qualified at this point. The overtaking on that role would not be advisable until the response team arrived. And the reason for that is straight away the response team would need to be making some risk assessment of the situation. You want to keep the people inside making requests. You want to engage them to keep them fairly calm if that's possible, and try and get information from them. But you want to be, from that information, start quickly making a risk assessment, which is very important to decide what to do next.
At the point that the CP got to the prison, there were already some response team there, okay? So you already have the response team on site.
They should have taken over then. They should have.
And Okay, and that request is made. Can we go and talk to them? Because they are, apparently the female guards feel that they can communicate better than male guards with the male prisoners.
Yeah, but this is not a game. You will need to keep the engagement at a certain point, but finally you need to make a quick risk assessment of what are the dangers, what are the risks, what you want to try and prevent there. At that time there was a fire.
No, at this point there is no fire.
There had been a fire.
No fire at this point.
No, irrespective. There was a fire in the place.
No, there was no fire at this point in the place.
There was, because the first...
No. Where?
I think what Commissioner Vidot is saying is, at this particular stage of the crisis, which is where the negotiations are supposed to be taking place, there was no fire. That is the evidence from the people who were on the site.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Okay, but it's been proven from acts before that setting fire is part of what they wanted to do. They've been doing it. And I've told you about the breakout. The other major consideration is a massive fire. That would be a major risk for everyone, inmates, officers, what have you. But not only that, if you had a fire, a major fire at the prisons, and you had to evacuate both inmates, the numbers in there, where would you be taking them to?
Yes.
These are the risks, the critical risk that needs to have been in the command center. They would have needed to be saying, hey, what are we going to do? What can we do now, bearing in mind that risk? And then comes the risk as well of a massive breakout.
Mr. Fonseca, I think...
what we cannot do is start implementing ideas without doing a risk assessment.
Okay, Mr. Fonseca, as we say, at this stage,
yes.
Okay, when the guards are taken hostage. At that point, there is no fire, okay, and the guards, the police is already on site, and the prisoners are asking for a form of engagement.
Yes.
You still will it still be your position that there should not be an engagement?
No, there could be an engagement at a certain level of purely cajoling and trying to extract certain information.
Yeah.
Not believing this is the answer.
Okay.
Because right now, someone, the troops coming in to assist, should be making a risk assessment. And that will allow them to decide how best to resolve the situation.
Okay.
And there's no best answer.
You got something?
Mr. Fonseca, I understand well when you talk about running a risk assessment. I suppose from the minute the CP received a call from Mr. Irani, who, by the way, you said he was the 2IC of prisons. He's not the 2IC of prisons. No. He's the officer responsible for custodial.
Custodial.
Okay. Now, the minute CP George got the call of what was happening at the prisons, I think a proper risk assessment should have been done there and then. We can't wait and 2 hours or 3 hours later to start to initiate a risk assessment. Because if the first risk assessment was done, then what we do is we review our risk assessments as we go along.
Yes.
I think you would agree with me.
Yeah.
And obviously, as Commissioner Vidotti is saying, you know, in an ideal, you and me, we know this as military tacticians, but it was not happening on the ground on that day. We might talk about it as good as we can, but it was not happening. I think you would agree with me.
Yeah, there's nothing to disagree. The risk assessment needs to be done. It's ongoing, isn't it?
Yes.
It never stops because things change, things evolve. It's fluid, and this is where you need critical thinking people. And this is where, with due respect, Commissioner, the things falls down a little bit to go in, because this is moving in dangerous areas. There's life-threatening situation, and it needs to be resolved. It needs to be resolved, and the proof of what they can do was shown with the start of the fire, and the potential for a total blaze out was risky for everyone there. But as I said, beyond that is how do you manage the evacuation? Where are you going to house people? And in amongst all that, if you had a mass breakout with the threats of, as I said, our tourism, we've got a big problem there. Big problem.
Mr. Fonseca, maybe you were not given enough information when you are saying what you are saying now. A lot of inmates gave themselves up, and they were taken to the visiting area. I think you know where it is, outside of the main prison.
Yes.
And they were left there. And at one point there was nobody, no prison officers, no one guarding them. So the risk of escape was always there. Now, I do not agree with you when you say if those people were evacuated, there was nowhere to put them. They would have been put inside there, and I think we should appreciate that if there was any people that decided to escape, they would have escaped. Maybe you were not told about that.
No, I'm saying, the way I'm saying, there's a lockdown there, everyone's inside.
Yes. It's
And
okay, but anyway,
there was fire.
I think we'll get.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we'll get to there as we go along. But one thing is, you see, I heard you when you raised the concern about the possible outbreaks in prison, and this was a threat to the West Coast area of Seychelles and others. But did you discuss this with government? Was this raised at any level?
I always did, not more than once, with the CP and the CDF all the time.
Okay. Now, so if this was a main concern, but then finally we find that the government takes the initiative of building another prison down the hill in the same area.
Yes.
So why did we, if we knew that this was a risk,
no,
do we multiply our risks up there?
No, the risk was about a breakout.
Yeah, but the other one, if there is a breakout as well, is a second, it's multiplying our risks.
So what is your question?
No, what I'm trying to say is, if we were so concerned about a possible breakout at the prisons, and then we build another block just down the hill,
yes,
don't we multiply our risk of
well, the
danger
risk,
if there's
the risk is not in the number of buildings, it's the number of people you have.
That's it.
But,
so we've got people up there.
But the building doesn't increase people. The people are there. You're just moving them down there.
Yeah.
So that doesn't, and it was a better secured area. It was a high security prison, so there would be less risk of breakout there compared to the MONTAGNE POSÉE area, the top area.
Yes.
Yeah, that one down there would be a bit more secure, but The risk of breakout is irrespective where you are. It doesn't matter. Breakout is a dangerous situation to have in a country where tourism is really our bread and butter. This is the point I'm making.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we have a situation where there's not been engagement with the prison authorities. That's according to the inmates. They didn't receive that engagement. They asked for it. The prisoners decide that we let all the guards go. We let all the guards go.
Oh, yes, okay.
Okay. So they let all the guards go. Your risk assessment will now be different because you called for assistance because of that situation, and now that situation is no more. Would your risk assessment be different?
You would reevaluate as you go along.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you detected chances of, and this is where you need to be picking up a little bit of intel to identify motivations amongst them, who's the leaders, how many of them, could you cajole them, could you coerce them into changing their minds?
Nobody coerced them into changing their minds. They decided, anyway, actually, it was some other inmates who decided to tell those who had retained the guards to release them. So they have no demands now, and they have no leverage because the guards are gone. So you will need to have another assessment of the situation.
Well, the assessment is ongoing.
Yeah.
Never stops.
And at that point in time, would it be wise to send in the forces?
You've got to explore the ability to have people to surrender. But at the same time, you need to be prepared and measure the risk of them going totally foul again and starting again this. So you need to weigh all these things out and be prepared and get your teams ready and make a proper plan. The initial plan is a rough plan, I would think, to go and stop things getting out of hand. But if you can buy some time, then your plan gets better and better because you get to know a bit more information.
Okay. But at that point in time, where you have that situation where demands have not been met, and the inmates decided to say, okay, some of them influence the others, say, okay, let's stop this, let the guards go. Before you send in the forces inside the prison, because you say you want to get inside the prison, would you not have some form of engagement?
Okay, the engagement is ongoing. The engagement doesn't stop. The risk assessment continues as well. And you have got to be prepared because you must be prepared to stop a recurrence of what had happened before. Now, at which point you go in, this will be a tactical decision by the people who's there themselves. I will not make a decision like that from my soft seat where I am now. But given from what you said, you would have to update yourself in whether the risks of people getting injured, fire starting again, smoke inhalation, all the risks that could hurt people in there. You also got a duty of care to the prisoners, to the soldiers, to the officers, to the whoever is being used in the area, but you also have a duty of care to everyone.
Yeah. And okay, after that, there were fires because the troops were trying to penetrate inside the prison, and the fact that you had officers carrying weapons were now trying to storm inside the prison, with you not having any engagement with the inmates. Would not that have caused the inmates to be more agitated?
Well, first, when you say weapons, we should not have had any live weapons in that operation. One of my instructions, which I've always given, is to keep the military on the perimeter. And the Act talks about shooting escapees and stopping mass breakout, but it's all about maiming people as opposed to shooting people, disabling. So if that threat escalated to a mass breakout going into as I said, our tourism area, then there would have been a request, I suppose, for the rules of engagement to change if that reached that point. But there was the weapons, people should have been on the perimeter outside.
Okay.
The other shotgun pellets is fine.
Yeah.
With the slugs is fine.
But I'm sure you were informed that that wasn't the case. That
yes, it seemed. I mean, I still don't have the total report because there was investigation happening and hoping to get that. Well, I'm out of it now, in a sense. But what was I going to say? The entry weapons in terms of the shotguns and all that is admissible with good training, which I'm sure the officers had, and discipline. That shouldn't have been an issue, because you're using it really just to break padlocks and things like that, and that is done at close range to the lock, where it wouldn't have a secondary damage to other people, and it's how you use it. This is how it should have been used, so we wouldn't have had any unfortunate situation with loss of lives.
Minister, just to ask you,
Yeah.
Before you said that this operation was the Commission of Prisons operation.
No, I didn't say that. It was initially, but once you made the request to the police,
okay,
we would expect that some quick handover to that group.
Okay, so in terms of what you just said, which I totally agree with you, that lethal firearms should have been kept outside of the prison on the perimeter to prevent any escapes from inside the prison, yeah? My concern to you is, don't you think there was a failure in the security forces to make contact, direct contact with you, where you were on your holidays or your work mission?
It was work, by the way.
Your work mission. Don't you think that this was a grave failure, so that probably if they had spoken to you, you would have been able to give certain advice on the way forward to deal with the situation?
Not necessarily. I mean, you can't time when things are going to happen. And in terms of preparation, these are a number of times we're talking about multi-agency working together, which you need that. I'm afraid was enough senior between Commissioner of Police and the CDF to be doing operational critical assessment and doing the task.
So are you telling me that it is normal that the tactical move that the forces employed to deal with this situation was correct?
Yes, I would have liked to have seen the CDF and the commissioner in the Gold Command and not totally leave the control to the Silver Command. I would have liked to have seen that. And the difficulty in reaching senior people as such was worrying.
On your part?
Very much so, yes.
Okay, but then
because the information was everywhere. I mean, I'm getting brief from from Facebook. Can you imagine that? So I was not.
Yeah, but that's not normal.
I wasn't pretty happy with that.
So may you simplify what you mean by gold?
Yeah, these are the.
I think I've heard.
Yeah,
but
these are the common
the public
structures
hearing, so we want
in the escalation. You see, in a major incident like that, you will need one body who's the oversight, looking at getting information from the people on the ground, from the
Which
silver.
are the bronze people?
Yeah, well, the bronze is a little bit team level, but the command center in the prisons, which they had some senior police officers there, okay, they should have taken that control from the CP. CP is there at that point to advise of whereabouts information. There's a lot of information they will know, which CP will know, which they will not know. And they would be informing the gold people, and the gold people would be giving them operational ideas, because in such a hectic, chaotic, fluid situation, you need people from the outside understanding what are the risks, what would that happen, what could that happen, and giving advice, because the flood of information coming on the Silver Command would be incredible, would be from everywhere, information coming, and they'll be able to assess that, but you still need someone at the rear to properly advise, because let's people will make decisions quickly under pressure, which someone stood a little bit further back will be able to see. These sort of situations are chaotic. This commission would be worth looking at the 1972 Olympic massacre in Munich, which happened 26 years after the Second World War. With all these experienced soldiers, it was a massacre because of the confusion which arises like that. From there on, there's been a lot of improvements, but it always is a chaotic situation. So it is a very important situation. There's another area which you might want to know, that when there's demands, it could be from a stronghold which has been taken over from a terrorist group and all that, you don't want your commander-in-chief to be accessible to the negotiator, because you want a break there. You don't want this happened in 1980s in the Iranian embassy in London, where Margaret Thatcher was not reachable. Willie Whitelaw was the Home Secretary at the time. He was a line of contact, purely so you don't have demands being put straight on the hierarchy of the country, which puts a lot of, maybe I shouldn't be saying that on here, but
Yeah, but Mr. Fonseca,
what I'm saying is these are very important things to avoid as well loss of lives, which really could have been avoided.
But no, I do understand. So it means that there was a failure between the silver and the gold.
Yes.
In that respect, yeah.
They didn't seem to connect.
Okay, so there was this failure there. So the gold couldn't give proper orders after making good decisions in order to
I think let's put names of office holders we are talking about, because I wouldn't want this conversation to be academic. Gold and brands and.
I mean, if I may.
Yeah, let's put names to.
I mean, if I may say now, in the silver team, there would have been Mr. Songwa.
Yeah, he'll be the top man there.
And PC George inside, and on the gold side there would be
Kumbul and CDF.
General Ozet.
Yeah.
And Commissioner of Police.
Yeah, because they are there two. They were the lead in the two okay. Sort of.
Now, but one thing that myself I find missing in the chain. You see, you were not there. It's okay. The Commander-in-Chief was not there. It's fine. But we have the Deputy Commander-in-Chief in Seychelles. He is there, and he sits on the Defense Forces Council meeting.
That's got nothing to do with this, though.
Sorry?
This is a different thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So nobody is informing him. It's a, as you just said earlier, it's a serious national security threat to the country. And he is our leader at that time. He is the one who should be giving us advice on what to do.
The operational advice should start with CDF and Compol. The thing is, normally you would have where the threat originates from, trying to coerce the authority. So you don't want them to have a contact with the authority.
No, this I understand. I understand, Minister.
So this is why you need to stop.
I understand the coercion should not be, if this is the case, where demands are being made to the government. I totally agree with you. But this is a riot that's happening in the prison, and it is something which is for the prison itself. I think in fact, you were talking to your office people on your phone. Did you get any contact from the deputy president at that time? Did he talk to you?
No, I didn't have any contact. Didn't have any contact.
So you see, this is what I do not understand.
Yeah, and but he doesn't report to me.
Sorry?
He doesn't report to me.
He doesn't need to report to you,
no.
but he is just informing you. You are the Minister of Defense.
Yeah, but
and he is in trouble here.
No, he's not in trouble here.
Well, I'm not saying that he personally is in trouble, but the country is in trouble.
He was in contact with the military and the police.
But he said he never spoke to to the military and the police. He just spoke to OZ once and that's it. And
Yes.
he said to OZ that if you got more information, just let me know.
That is fine. So those that belongs to the God would inform him.
Yeah. And then what is happening is on the social media, we are having all sorts of different rubbish that is being said,
Yeah.
and people are believing in this.
Yeah, which in this sort of scenario,
which is not normal.
no, in this sort of, you have to ignore the social media, because this is where you need your intelligence. People
Yeah, but maybe you and me
Yeah.
we would.
Yeah.
Yeah? But normal people,
Yeah.
they take this as a
Yes.
big thing.
Yeah. 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 Mm.
Before I hand over to Commissioner Vidot, there's something I heard you saying, and I think in a response to Commissioner Tihan's question, but I don't think it was clear enough because it looks like both of you are ex-soldiers, so you were involved in military terminologies, right? So we want to break these things down so that everyone can understand. It's part of accountability and transparency. So I heard you saying, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I heard you saying the CDF, in this case General Jose, and the police commissioner should have been in the gold, which I understood to mean that you are saying they should have been maintaining oversight on the operation. Is that correct? Is that what
Yeah.
you were saying?
Yeah.
So is your view that they abandoned the responsibility to have oversight?
I believe that probably they might have been, if they had communications with the Silver Command, with DCP, that would suffice, because they don't need to be there. They need to be getting enough information to advise on possibly the strategic
I got that part.
understanding of the whole thing.
I got that part. His question was, do you think that there's a failure in the way that the forces manage this? And then you said, yeah, you believe that the CDF and the police commissioner should have
Yes.
been in the gold,
Yes.
which means that you have either information or you have taken a view that they were not in the gold, which means they were not performing oversight on this operation.
Well, if they were performing oversight to the Silver Command, I haven't seen any information on that.
Okay, that's what I needed you to
Yeah.
clarify. So
I
you're-
haven't seen any information. I could be wrong, but I get the impression everything stopped with the Silver.
and the silver is
Maybe this is not true, but this is the impression I'm getting.
okay. That
And I have no information about them escalating certain reports where they would get, they might get, they might not get, they might get sort of, hey, what you're doing is correct, but what I'm saying, it provides for this other eye in this very complicated, very hectic,
Right,
very
I think you've clarified
Yeah, okay.
where I think I needed you to clarify so that we put this in plain language, which is easy to understand. Back to you, Commissioner Vidot.
Okay. Even though this is the case, you've just talked about the chain of command, like the gold and the silver, and the gold not having enough communication with the silver. As a result of what happened at the prison, obviously inmates losing life, and a lot of them were injured. Who would you who would you say is responsible? Accountability, where would it end?
I will not put blame on anyone because I'm talking in a sense from what I've heard and seen. I was out of country at the time, so for me to verify that and try and do blame now would be a little bit
Let's say accountability.
for what?
For what happened as to the situation that happened and people losing lives.
Oh, the situation losing life. We will have to wait for the investigation to be decided.
So maybe before you come in, I just want us to go back to this same question that he asked, because I don't think we are doing justice to it. You were minister of internal security, right? I take your point that you were not physically in the country when these disturbances happened. But you came back, right? Did you seek to find out if there is anyone who should have been held accountable for the 2 people who died and the dozens of people who were badly injured, including others who are permanently injured in this process?
No, I did not. I'll await the result from the police.
So this happened in 2024.
Yes.
We are now
yes.
in 2026.
Yes.
I would like to be a bit more practical. Let's assume that your brother or your sister or your relative had been killed in these disturbances, or your relative has been brutally injured in these disturbances. Would you be satisfied with a situation where it's now 2 years and the policymakers say, we are still waiting for an investigation to tell you who should be held accountable for this? Would you be satisfied with that?
Well, the thing is, it shouldn't take 2 years.
Right.
Okay? It shouldn't take 2 years. So where the stoppage is, I don't know. But by now, the police should have at least known what to do.
So as minister, so we're back to my question now. As Minister of Internal Affairs at that time, the police commissioner reports to you directly, the CP of prisons reports to you directly, and various other security agencies, I assume. What efforts did you make to find out where the problem was with the investigation so that it doesn't take that long?
I know pressure was coming on to the commissioner to resolve the situation. Even the president took the phone on many occasions to try and hasten this forward. So there was a lot of effort.
So where was the problem?
Yes, but it's not something you can go and take over yourself. It's in that process to the ages, which...
So where was the problem?
I don't know. I don't know where there's a problem.
The police never gave you a report or reported to you?
No, it's always, we finish, I didn't get the report myself. I know it went to the president that I'm on it, without any
The police never informed you, as the minister overseeing the police, that they were meeting with some resistance in gathering information.
No, I didn't hear that.
And
to them, they were on it.
And if that was the case, because the investigating officer says that he found it difficult to get statements from some officers, and he felt that he was meeting with resistance. Would that not be a weakness in the in the whole operation?
You had statements from the senior officers?
He said he had some officers whom he had a lot of difficulty, he even tried to make contacts, that these officers were not forthcoming.
But he had all the statements, didn't he?
No, he had to keep asking and asking.
Yeah. In fact, I could supplement his question.
Mm-hmm.
The witness that appeared before us was the lead.
Jean-Paul is the
Jean-
lead. He's the lead.
Yeah, the lead investigator in that case. He indicated to us that he had challenges with senior police officers refusing to cooperate with him, refusing to file their statements, written statements with him. He had problems with the military as well, and those problems caused him. And when we asked him, so what did you do as an investigation officer when they were not giving you written statements and you were asking for them? He said he reported to the police commissioner. He reported to his superior, who reported to the police commissioner, and he clarified that the police commissioner at that time was aware of it. And the police commissioner issued some directives, which again were being ignored. Eventually, he says on his evidence, they complied. Right?
So he got the statement.
From
After a long time of trying to get statements, right? So my point is this. Did the police commissioner at any time inform you as minister that this investigation was stuck because some of the senior police officers were not cooperating?
No, he hadn't.
He did
but
not.
Probably this panel should ask these officers, these senior officers, because it could also be the CID.
I think let's avoid speculating. But my question is, did he inform you?
No,
You say
he didn't, no.
Okay. He also said, because I need to give a complete picture of what he said. The other witness who is the head of CID, I think it's Mr. Julien, did corroborate some of these problems, but emanating from the military side of things. And eventually there was cooperation, right? But it affects the speed at which investigation is done, and justice delayed is justice denied. You and I think, agree about that. So it's not a question of saying, did they eventually give you the names? Yeah, they eventually gave him the statements, but after a delay, which is unnecessary.
Unnecessary.
Right.
Yeah.
So did anyone inform you that the investigations were stuck because the investigation officer is finding it very, very difficult to get the soldiers who were involved in the operation to give him written
I'm
statements?
learning now.
Not until now.
No.
Yes, you have questions.
Anyway, Minister, when we're talking about reports, did you, after the incident, I would say probably maybe a week or two, did you receive any complete report from the prison authorities that would have been able to help you understand what went on inside the prison on that day? Did you receive any report?
No, I did not, and that is due to the investigation that was happening. The police investigation was going to be
No,
the-
that's fine. The police investigation is going to, but normally the prison should themselves write, because you've always got the initial report that is taking place as the operation is happening, and then the management should sit and write a complete report to show the minister this is what happened at the prison on the day. That we were called on such time, this is what happened, this is what we done, this is what we done, this is what. That's for the minister to be able to make his assessment, during which time the police investigation is doing their own business.
Yeah, this is what really was my motivation to wait for that.
But they never give it to you.
No, because there was loss of life there.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, that is another an issue that we don't want to have stories. We want the real story. So for this reason,
I have a question still on that that I think needs to be addressed. So you didn't get a report?
no.
Yeah, and I
Knowing
would-
there was an
Yeah,
investigation.
and I would no. The investigation is criminal, to establish criminal responsibility. But the report he was talking about, and I think he clarified, and you agreed, is on the incident itself, on the disturbances themselves, and the other reason why that report would be necessary. You know, not just because people died and others were injured, but to make sure that you start to put in place measures as quickly as is possible to avoid a similar thing, a similar disturbance happening in future.
Yes, one
Do
of
I
the
agree?
one of the things we
So, sorry, Minister.
Yeah.
Once you agree, then I will ask you this question, which I think completes the question he's asking. So you didn't get the report. Did you ask for the report?
I got a verbal brief, and this subsequently after that, I had a meeting with CDF Compol and the CP and other officers there. Can't remember all of them, to look into the training subsequent to the incident.
Yeah, but before we go there, because now you are talking about measures. You
Yes.
have already, I think from your answer, you have already formed the view that what is needed is training, right?
Yes.
But I don't think that is scientific, because you were talking about critical thinking, critical assessments all along. Don't you think that the first thing to obtain is a report, a written report, not verbal, a written comprehensive report on what happened?
A written report would not have been complete wwithout the investigation as well.
We agree.
Yeah.
There are two issues here. There's the
Uh,
criminal investigation, right? But I will maybe let me explain why this question is important. You are the minister, and the CP reports to you. So accountability means that the Commissioner of Prison should explain to you from her own point of view why what happened and how it happened, right? That's answering to you. In the event that she did not, which you said she didn't, give you
Verbally.
no. Yeah, I'm wondering if your government was functioning on verbal reports, because that would be strange. It has to function on written reports. There has to be records, Minister, on which people account. Because what people give you as verbal reports, they can deny tomorrow. So there has to be a written report. That's what accountability is about. So if she doesn't give you that report, don't you think, as the supervisor, as the minister responsible, you should have written to her and said, I would like this report by such a
My
deadline.
priority was the investigation report, because that would be in total detail of the incident to the. I don't think I would have got a sufficient report just from one part.
I accept that your priority might have been. Let's accept that piece of evidence that says your priority was on the criminal investigation. But even on the criminal investigation, where your priority was, you were not you were not aware that the persons who were investigating this were experiencing all these problems with witnesses not cooperating. So how can you demonstrate today that your priority was on the criminal investigation when even on the criminal investigation we still don't have a report?
How do I demonstrate?
Yeah, that your priority was on the investigation, on the criminal investigation.
I thought that was a more important area. Bearing in mind that we were already looking in the interagency collaboration and training.
Okay, maybe let me ask that question differently. Is there evidence that you can place before us today to demonstrate that you indeed put your priorities or you prioritized the criminal investigation?
No, not a written document?
No, any evidence.
I'll have to think about the evidence for that. I don't have anything in my back pocket right now.
Did you have any letters written asking that the investigation is carried out as urgently as possible?
I know the president was in constant...
I'm asking about you.
No, but I'm telling you what I know.
No, first, before you answer me as to what you know, you have to answer the specific question regarding you, whether you have a report and any letters that would...
No, I don't have any letters.
Okay, and then
but
you
I
can
had
explain.
knowledge
Okay.
that this pressure was being applied from the president to the Compol to urge him to get this report up and going.
And you know that up till today, actually, the chairman has been telling you that of difficulties. Up till today, even if the case files were gathered, and the officer told us that even from one officer up to today, he's not received any statement or anything. And you've not received a complete report for that, but in the interim, would a provisional report would that have been necessary so that you could identify the gaps that existed, so that you can start working on the gaps that existed in the prison?
Well, the report of that nature would have been better from an outside eye looking in. The report of what took place there is important, but a critical report would have to be the analysis of all that to move forward with the necessary training. And the necessary training, and especially in terms of coordination, was probably where the weaknesses were.
But whilst you're waiting for the report, in the interim, other incidents could have developed. Okay, don't you think that there was a necessity for you to have a preliminary report that will actually identify certain gaps? Because obviously there would be gaps that were so obvious, so that you could address those gaps.
I was doing that.
But there was no, I'm asking you whether there was a report.
No.
Okay.
From my general assessment of things, I could see the gaps.
Minister, the reason I asked you about this, as you may know as well, in any situation that takes place, especially in the prison, the first task that the Commissioner of Prisons must do is keep a log of incidents as they happen. And this log of incidents would be very critical in informing my minister that, look, this is what I did, this is what we did, and it would help the establishment tomorrow when a proper, as you said, a proper investigation is done by the police and whatever it is. So it shows the professionalism of the establishment. But this as well was not done. Reason why I was saying this is, you know, it's unfortunate to say this in our country. It's sad that we do not want to put anything in writing wherever the office is. We normally want to just verbally come and say to the minister, such and such thing. Or the PS says such and such thing. And tomorrow there's no paper trail to identify where the mistake or where the problem came from. I don't know if you agree with me, but this is a major problem that we have, because it has happened to you. Somebody comes to you after a major incident, as you yourself, you said it was a serious national security threat, and they come to you and say verbal things to you. And today, you don't recall what they said to you. You recall certain parts of it. So I don't think it is normal, do you?
Well, the control room on the Silver should have been running a log.
In the incident that you referred to earlier with Margaret Thatcher,
Sorry?
the incident in the United Kingdom that you referred to earlier on,
Which one?
the hostage crisis in
Okay.
the United Kingdom that you referred to earlier on, where you were saying the commission should look at that. You remember? The one where,
yes.
where the minister of, what was his role? The minister who was negotiating and preventing the prime minister from negotiating directly. After that, they had a provisional report, which he's talking about. Why? Because it's a serious national security threat, which is, I think, his point that maybe when you look back now, do you think there was a failure there?
Yes, the reports were too slow.
But yes, but then it takes two to tango. I don't know if, I mean, where I come from, we say two to tango, implying that it takes two people.
It's the same here.
It's the same here. So it takes two to tango, in the sense that there's someone who is supposed to initiate a report. They did not. But there's someone who is supposed to receive the report. And if the authority that is the person who is supposed to initiate the report doesn't initiate the report, the person who receives the report should demand it. And at the very least, we should be seeing today copies of emails or copies of letters from the minister saying, I am hereby following up on this report. And if that person doesn't respond to you or doesn't deliver, then maybe the conversation becomes different from there. But I think the point he's making today is the challenge is we don't have evidence that shows that you as minister, you did enough to insist on getting this report, which did not come to you. So yes, there was a failure, but not on one part, on both parts. That's the observation we are making. Would that be an incorrect observation?
Well, that's your observation.
Yeah.
I've heard your observation.
Would that be a correct or a wrong observation?
That's not wrong or right, because I know the president was really down his neck to provide that report.
I think on that one I hear you, and I think to some extent you are correct in saying that, in implicating the president, the former president. The former president will certainly account on his duties, right? But you are minister. There's a reason why the president at that time needed a minister of internal affairs. Otherwise, if everything was going to be done by the president, then there's no need for Minister of Internal Affairs. But also the other impression you might be creating I don't know whether it's intentional or unintentional, is that the president was running the show on everything. Because if you have a minister of internal affairs who is supposed to be the one enforcing accountability, but then you as the president, you are the one expected to enforce accountability, it can only mean two things. Either you don't have people supporting you to run things properly, or you, as the head, you like doing things by yourself. So that's the impression you are creating by saying what you are saying. Precisely because it can't be normal to have a minister of internal affairs who is working on addressing a serious national security threat, saying, look, I'm not going to follow up on the report because the president is doing that anyways.
No, I was following up.
Okay.
Because
You did.
I know that.
It's just that you did it verbally. Is that what you are saying?
No, I know that he was phoning the.
Okay.
Compound.
I think I will let it rest. Then go back to you, Commissioner Vidot. What, do you have a question?
I mean, if you allow me,
Sure.
I would just agree with the minister, yeah, that when you explained the different responsibilities that was given to you in the Ministry of Internal Affairs, don't you think it was very important, maybe, in order to give you time to carry out your job properly, to get some liaison officers in the different departments that you had under your command, in order to be able to help you carry out those duties, so that, you know, you would just delegate and those people would find exactly what was required for your proper decision taking. Don't you think it would have been better for you?
This was a conscious decision of keeping ministries as lean as possible to reduce the final budget. So there is the nicety of having perfectness, and there is the economical motivation to make things happen with less resources.
Yeah, but then
today we're talking about a lot of niceties, and there are a lot of moments to achieve that. You would probably bring a lot of inefficiency as well in not actively using people. I come from the private sector. And doing things leanly is very much in my thinking, purely because we have to be responsible in how government works, and be efficient in that manner. So yes, it would have been nice to have a whole 2 or 3 lawyers attached to me to look at regulations. It would have been nice to have all these liaison officers, especially in my department. But I was there to serve and to roll my sleeves and serve. And this is what I did.
yeah, but Minister, I earlier you mentioned that a person who is your principal secretary, he was the principal secretary in your ministry.
In the whole of the ministry.
In the whole of the ministry.
Yeah.
So what was he doing? Did he help you in carrying out those responsibilities?
There's a lot, yes. There's a new area in terms of border control, which we were setting up. It was very instrumental in that. We had issues of controlling visitors through that touch his base and go on ships, for instance. We put system in where we could track all that. So there was numerous areas that we were doing in terms of law and order on the border control side, yes. So there was a lot of work, other work. The ministry was heavy in crucial responsibilities.
Yeah, but it did not help you on the prison side.
Well, the thing is, it probably could have been better to be able to have all these to serve the inquiry today, but it wouldn't have necessarily made bigger changes. And there are other things, like I said, in terms of the prison, the area of training, coordination, sector collaboration, which has got much more impact. So we can split hairs on some areas which should have happened or didn't happen, but I think we need to look at the broader picture of what this is all about, the multitude of networking and getting things done to produce something at the end of the day.
It is your position that the military should have been kept on the periphery of the...
Yes.
Okay. And should never have gone inside.
Yes.
Okay. And we also learned from this incident that the military did go inside. Okay. And that in itself caused a lot of injuries to inmates. Okay. And the fact that nobody, when you say that no military should have gone inside, and so somebody has to account for why the military went inside the prison. Who do you think should account for that?
Well, it was a decision made by the military, which would start with the CDF, I suppose.
So the CDF will have to account for it.
Well, I don't know if he's got to account for it or...
But somebody has to account, Minister.
Yes, well, if it was taken by him or it was in knowledge, then yes. If not, it would have been someone else.
Okay.
So I don't know where, at which level that decision was made.
So any, if that...
So I can't really...
If another officer, military officer, was given the task of ensuring that the military are there, but they had to be on the periphery of the prison, so that officer would be accountable to what happened.
Yeah, I mean, you will have to establish at what level the decision was made.
Okay.
I cannot help you there.
You know that when the military went in, there was an abuse of power by the military. And we also had military personnel who were wearing masks, okay? So their identity could not be, nobody could identify them. In that situation, when you have military officers wearing masks and no one can identify them, and they injure, and there was even killing of people, what should happen in that situation? Because obviously those who were killed or those who were around don't know who killed them, don't know who beat them up, don't know who shot them. So should there be somebody who would account to who were these officers who were involved?
Yeah, well, the investigation and the forensics would help.
But should there be somebody who should account for the to identify those officers?
Well, the team leader would know his officers, whether they had mask or not.
Okay, they had mask.
I don't know.
And
I mean,
if the team leader retained that information, okay, what should happen to that team leader?
I can't tell you because I don't know that. I mean, I don't know the facts of the matter.
What I'm telling you...
You are telling me something and asking me to make an opinion
No, but that's a general thing because, in a situation you have a situation as such, like I've described to you, okay? Some people are wearing masks, and then you have a team leader. So, and the team leader does not want to provide information as to who were involved in his team. So, what should happen to that team leader?
I don't know what their legal position is. You'll have to ask their...
Minister, I'm sure you would definitely, you would have a notion as to what should happen to that team leader. If you tell me otherwise, I will not believe you.
Well, I can't tell you what will happen to him without knowing what the orders was given to him.
So if the orders that he got from...
You will have to go back up to see what the orders was cascade down to him.
So the person who gave him the orders, who gave the orders for the military to go in, and will be answerable to for what happened?
You will have to analyze these areas to see where at which point the responsibility lies. And without the knowledge of all this level of cascading level of information, orders, it'll be very difficult to...
Okay. Let's say we've gone through all these steps, okay? We've identified and all that. And then we come to the ringleader. The
ringleader?
Another ringleader. The leader of the operation. His men are wearing masks. Okay, we've gone through all those steps, and he's the one who does not to divulge the information required to identify these personals. So what in that case should happen to that leader?
Well, you will have to find out what his instructions were, as I said. You have to go back up and see where it stops, where it started. Was he authorized to do that? Was it okay? You will have to do that.
Okay, let's say he was not authorized to do that, and his men were not authorized to do that. Okay?
Well, that person will tell you, whoever is superior to him will say, he breached our SOPs.
And so that person would be able to tell
Yes.
who those personals who are wearing masks were.
Probably, yes.
Because from the logic you're explaining,
Yeah,
that should be the case.
Yeah, but if you're trying to identify who was that, whose responsibility it was there, you will have to step it back up and come back down again. You have a bit of a... You have to go up and down.
I can assure you that we have done that.
Pardon?
I can assure you that we have done that, Minister.
You have?
Yeah, so that's why we are asking you these questions. Eventually we will answer those questions.
Yeah.
But what we don't want to do is to answer those questions without giving everyone who appears before us an opportunity to give their own version. So that's why he's asking you. He's not asking you that question because we don't have information.
Yeah,
we have.
it's very...
But maybe just a few questions, then I think we'll need a break, a short break. You know, Minister, former Minister, you said, I wrote 3 things here. You said the military shouldn't have entered inside the prison. They should have remained around the perimeter, correct? Right. Then you also said, now I want to ask you on this other element. Do you think the police who enter into the prison in the situation that we are talking about should be wearing masks?
That's not a problem.
That's not a problem.
No.
They can wear masks.
Yes.
Okay. So how do
because the identity of these guys doesn't want... you must look also about the safety of these guys outside when they with their families and all that. So wearing mask is to protect their identity.
Good.
But
so how do you, quick question, how do you, I take your point, how do you ensure that you, as the accounting officers, you can still have some evidence on whether they properly conducted themselves in there.
That's why you have the team leader there.
Okay,
The
so
team
you
leader
must-
will be.
So you must have a team leader
Yeah, of course.
there.
Mm.
Okay. Then you said, okay, just those two aspects, that the military shouldn't be entering inside the prison. Then I may have a slight view, but I take your discretion as minister that look, let them wear masks, but there must be a team leader.
Mm.
Do you think they must have body cameras?
If they had body camera, it would help.
It will help. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm trying to show you, Minister, is that you need a manual on how to deal with a riot. And lockdown procedures on their own are not sufficient. These are all the things that needed to be in place to prepare the prison to know clearly how to deal with a riot should it happen. And yes, there are laws that can be enforced today to enforce accountability, which I think is the point that Commissioner Vidot was making. But if we are to fix this problem, I think we must also admit that there was a failure on the part of the policymakers, especially when they knew that there's a possibility of a riotous behavior, possibility of prison break, and they still did not check to make sure that the prison has these policies. Perhaps the regulations that I asked you about earlier on could have helped, because the regulations provide that detail to say, if you are going to carry weapons inside, this is how you handle them. There is some provisions in the Prisons Act which I think were violated already, and some accountability can be enforced. But perhaps it would have provided greater protection if there were detailed guidelines, policies, but also regulations. So I hope, despite our earlier disagreement on which one is important, we can at least come to some agreement towards, as we go to the end of this testimony, that the fact that there were no adequate policies in place was a failure. Okay, so maybe let's take a quick break. 5 minutes. I think let's make it exactly 5 minutes. It's just to breathe, and then we quickly resume so that we can get to the end of this.